Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows. Typically, we feature a beer of the week. Now, you know we love talking comic books here each and every week. And we have a longtime listener, third-time caller coming back with Kenny Porter on the show. But we also have a fantastic guest along with him today. Mike Becker is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about their upcoming Mad Cave space adventure called The New Space Age. And we will get to that in just a second. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow anywhere you get your podcasts. Social media, Lauren's on Instagram. I am on all of the others, acting like a complete clown. So make sure you follow us there, anywhere you get comic books. And you can find us on nerdinitiative.com each and every week to basically be reviewing what comic books you should be getting. So make sure you check that out. But of course, we have had Kenny on before. So Kenny, welcome back to the show. I appreciate you reaching out about this. How have you been, first of all?
I've been great. Thanks for having me back on. It's great to see you again, Matt and Lauren. So happy to be back. This is my third time on, so hopefully somehow this is some kind of charm. But yeah, I've been great. It's awesome to be here. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to Mike and then to have us talk about the new book we have coming out, because I think it's a really fun, weird swing that I'm really excited about.
Yes, you may obviously know Kenny from doing a lot of good DC comics, and then obviously the Schlub. We got to shout that out real quick because that was awesome with Tyrell and with Stegman and you. Man, that is still one of my favorite superhero stories that is not centered around the big Marvel DC. And I just want everybody and anyone out there to make sure you go to your comic book shops. I think I have multiple issues of the first one, so if you're like, hey, hit us up, what is that? I'll send you the first issue, like off rip. I'll be like, here you go. You have to read it. I will send it to you.
You can buy it in a trade back too. And if you find, like I found Tyrell at New York Comic Con last year, and that's when I bought the full copy of it because I wanted to have my hands on the actual hard copy of it. I absolutely love that one. The art's phenomenal. The story is phenomenal. Yeah, so many twists and turns, and it's hilarious. So like if the Schlub is out there, Image Comics. Yeah. So yeah, go grab amazing. That.
Thank you so much, guys.
We also have Mike Becker here. He is the artist for this upcoming series. So Mike, before we kind of get started, we always love to ask, first timers to the show, everybody's got an origin story, especially when we're talking comic books. So introduce yourself. And then what is your origin story into this beautiful world of comic books?
Hey, I'm Mike Becker. The artist for The New Space Age. Comic origin story. I guess as a reader, I feel like I always have been a big Batman, the animated series fan.
That's my comfort show.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
It is.
And I guess that's my deepest touchstone into superheroes and comics, writ large. Professionally, this is my first published comic through a publisher. So super excited about that.
Congrats.
Thank you. I did a 3-issue series all through Kickstarter. I did all of the art, line art and colors. We collected it as a trade. That's called Young Offenders. I did with Mark Stack and Jody Troutman over COVID. That's my first venture into finishing a comic. I've done some work for Warner Brothers Animation on a couple occasions. Once as a storyboard revisionist and once as a character designer for a pilot show that did not reach launch, but that's fine.
I'm sure you learned a lot.
Warner Brothers, man, they just love throwing things, Batgirl. Yeah, what is with Warner? Anyways,
it was around that time that I was working on this project. But anyway, I also teach comics as a professor.
Oh, that's cool.
So I
you can take comics as what am I doing? Why am I in my master's for marketing? I should be taking comic books.
Yeah, there's college classes about brewing beer too now.
What am I
really
doing?
Went to college way too early.
I'm giving Boston University how much when I could be taking Mike's classes on comics? What the heck?
I mean, I'm sure it's comparable price-wise, but yeah, I do teach comic courses and draw comics. So
honestly, I just want to keep asking you questions about the comic course. I don't want to trail off because obviously I want to focus on the comic. But
yeah, I'm
that's so interesting. Do you go into how to make your own comic book, or do you go into the history of comics and how history has shaped comics? How deep do you go?
It depends on the course. One of the ones I'm teaching now is all about traditional media first and foremost, and that I have kind of structured around 4 projects: a cover design, a 3-page comic focusing on spot blacks and ink. Then another 3 pages focused on mark making and hatching. And those I theme around like spooky and fear. They're kind of similar ideas, but spooky, especially just to force people to put ink down on the paper, like putting down, as an artist, nothing is more intimidating than a blank piece of paper. And especially when we're working with traditional media in an age of digital media, when Control Z is so instantaneous, it makes the permanentness of ink so much more intimidating. So we're facing our fears and we're putting down ink, and hopefully the story, with spooky and fear as our themes kind of rewards that part of the material process. And then the final is another cover illustration with color media. So like color pencil, marker, paint. So that's one of my courses. I use a lot of comics history because I know that, but not math.
Listen, math? I could tell you also comic and sports history, and my wife is like, but you can't even do basic math. And I'm like, it's a gift. I don't tell you.
And you know what? We all have calculators.
Sports statistics from the 80s got you. Basic math, no idea, but that's what these phones are for, even all right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I say God doesn't always give with both hands,
Right.
Exactly.
Or kind of like we're video game characters with like 100 points to distribute between skills.
Oh yeah, you gotta spend wisely.
Draw and know things about Batman and division.
Can't have it
that's
all.
Somebody else's job.
Yes.
So that's so interesting though, that you're doing this and as a teaching, and you're still getting to actually be active in it too. So I feel like that's got to give you credibility with your students of like, look, I'm not just teaching you, I'm actively doing it too. So going from your origin story, and I love that so much. Again, I could ask you, I could keep you here.
Yeah, we might have to have you on for a separate comic course. That would be awesome.
Yeah, but we want to talk the new space age, because Matt and I got to read the first 2 issues and we loved it. I thought it was so fun. The art was fantastic. It's very sweet, and it's also a little bit goofy. And I love how you tied magic and
it's also hopeful.
Space alien stuff together. Yes, definitely full of hope. As like Superman.
I related because
Superman hope.
Not from losing my job, but like there's a sense of you have to believe. As an adult, it almost feels as though you're ground down, and that sense of belief and wonder is almost beaten out of you at a certain point. But that's the beauty of what this comic does. So I don't want to take away your guys' thunder. Why don't you go ahead, tell us how this whole thing started, what's the new space age is, and then how did you guys get linked up? How did this get started for Mad Cave?
Sure. Well, first of all, Lauren and Matt, thank you so much for the very kind words about the book, especially because
it's good.
We've been working on it for so long, and like after a while, you can't see the forest from the trees.
Oh yeah.
Bit, and so you're like, is this good?
Right. Or I just been looking at it too long.
Like
big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So because we're like, because not that I don't have confidence in Mike's artwork or my writing, but when it's like a crazy concept of just like magic like that, like that's how it works. You don't know how other people are going to read it. So I'm really glad, first of all, that you guys are picking up like the really sweet and hopeful tones from it, because the genesis of this was like, I wanted some more hopeful science fiction in the world, as opposed to just like, listen, I love a dystopian or like an apocalyptic sort of thing, but like there's so much of that.
You remember in the 90s when the future looked bright, and now all of the future is depressing.
Yes. I'm trying to put a better future out there.
Yeah.
So so the new space age is about a disgraced astronaut who, after getting kicked out of the space program, discovers that the real secret to space travel isn't actually science, it's magic. And he uses that knowledge to go and search for his brother who was abducted when they were kids. He stepped into a crop circle that activated something and he vanished. Everyone thought that Mark, our titular astronaut, was insane. And all he wanted to do was to help further the space program, become a better pilot, and get out there and try and find his brother, because he felt like he let him down, because he was his protector as a kid, and he failed to protect him and he vanished. So the story follows Mark and his best friend Stacy, who he knew when he was a kid. He grew up to be a stage magician. So he knows how to be a pilot. He has no idea how how magic works. He's got the space stuff covered. He has no idea how magic works. And she dabbled in the occult when she started out. So the two of them decide to join forces to build a ship that doesn't run on just completely on science, but also on magic, using sigils, because crop circles have actually in this world been instructions on how to build a spaceship and an invitation to go out into the stars. So like that really hopeful sci-fi of like the explorers and Flight of the Navigator and stuff.
Love that movie.
Oh yeah, great. I love that movie as a kid.
It also gave me like October Sky at the same time. Speaking of like rocket, I know October Sky is a vastly different movie, but Jake Gyllenhaal and them, they're building rockets, like little rockets. And that's kind of what that reminds me of too, because you have that young excitedness about you and just the possibilities at the same time when people don't believe in you.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fun explanation of why when people see UFOs or UAPs, like why they don't move with the laws of physics. It's like, because it's magic.
I thought that was
like,
genius explanation. It was like two things that don't make sense. Yeah. It
made
like, complete
what do you mean?
sense,
Because physics isn't real with these things. It's all magic. And I was like, that makes the most sense. And that's when things really started to click for me in this book at the same time, because it's so much of it is just believing.
And ruins.
And the ruins too.
I mean, a lot.
So basically, it's like, what if, and not to just plug what's on my hat, but it's basically like, what if Hal Jordan and Zatanna made a spaceship together?
I would watch that buddy cop all day. Zatanna is like my favorite DC character, so that's why like, everything right now, I'm like Zatanna, man, if we got that would be incredible. But how did you come into play? Did you guys approach Mad Cave with this? Did you guys link up? What is the kind of the background into because you've been working on it for a hot minute, you said. So what is some of the behind the scenes?
Well, Mad Cave reached out to me and partnered me with Kenny. I think I first had a conversation with our editor, and I think I was just asked about my availability, which I had at the time. And I think all I remember was the occult and UFOs. And I was like, hell yeah,
I'm in.
So then I think I remember a very early call with Kenny that was just kind of to get to know Kenny at all and learn a little bit about the idea behind the comic. And I still think about that conversation a lot. I think that laid a lot of the groundwork for my approach to the story, getting to know some of the real heart behind the inspiration. And Kenny and I have a ton of overlap in terms of our, shared interests. So that was really helpful. We both big Green Lantern fans.
Yeah.
Kyle Rayner. It was not a great view. I don't know if the cameras picked that up.
Oh, you're good. I saw, yeah.
No, absolutely, man. And we both, when we had that initial conversation, I talked a lot about how, as another plug of like, where's my finger? There it is. It's so hard to do this when it's a mirror. That one touch point I wanted for it was I love Darwin Cook's The New Frontier, and we're both big DC fans of like DC animation fans. So I was like, I want to bring like a Darwin Cook and Bruce Timm type feel, which I feel like Mike has, as well as Mike's ability to go really weird with stuff, which a lot of Franco-Belgian comics do. I've said, whether Mike agrees with me or not, I've compared a lot of what he does, especially in the later issues, I'm not going to spoil it, to Mobius, as well as like Philip Droulet of like the like Metal Hurlant, like French type comics. Like when we get into the space stuff, it gets like weird, which I wanted. Like, so, so he brings a lot of that to it, which I love, which is another inspiration that I love. And whether you're conscious of that or not, Mike, like, I realize I've been throwing that around without your permission, but I see that in your work.
I mean, that's enormous praise. I mean, Mobius is goated for a reason. And not someone I've looked at in a ton for this project. I think maybe early on I had a lot of Mobius. I think I just have a lot of Mobius in my DNA as is. The comics recipe, I guess I call it a recipe more often than anything. I mean, Darwin Cook and Bruce Timm are definitely very formative in the recipe as well. And I think that New Frontier, I think, is just a good example of, there's a lot more dark subject matter in New Frontier than I think its reputation, because it's a pretty heavy story. It deals with post-war trauma and, legislation stuff. But it also has a lot of heart, and it still has this hopeful, New Frontier space age kind of vibe. And certainly that's something we were going for aesthetically and emotionally in the story. We've kind of mentioned belief, and belief is really the heart of what powers the magic in the story. And I think to kind of piggyback off of what Kenny said about imagining this better future, and I think now especially we have to imagine something beyond this, and that we have a future at all, I think is
now. Yeah, I think that is perfect. I think this is kind of the right time for a story like this to kind of put that bit of hope, like you said, and even through the coloring and the artwork. And I know you talked about like Bruce Timm as some inspirations. You can kind of see it too in the character designs. It gave me really fun cartoon vibes. That it's something it felt as though as I'm going through the panels that a cartoon was playing out, and I can create my own character voices, and that's a testament to both good artwork and great writing. Because when you're able to just do that and bring that imagery into your head as everything unfolds, you just immerse yourself into this world, and it just feels like the world 3D around you, almost like a virtual reality. And you guys absolutely crushed the aesthetic. And just, I loved too, there was a little bit of Houdini with Stacy when she was trying to get out of the tank and it almost went bad, for example, but then how exciting it was that she was just down. She's like, I brought some junk food. Let's do this. If we're really going to do this, you drug me all the way out here. So
and she brought good coffee. She's not drinking that.
She wasn't drinking that off, which I don't blame her. That's, that's the number one thing, right? If you're going to be doing this. But I also like how you turned there were some things like Cynthia with a cow, for example, the whole homage to the cows. Cynthia. Like, was that something you had to put in there? Because the whole crop circles, cows getting abducted by aliens, was that a major thing that played into that point for you guys?
Oh, yeah, that was when I was just kind of like writing down stuff that I wanted to have in the first issue. I was like, definitely, if we're going to play with UFOs, I need to play with cows. And then the name Cynthia is a reference to my buddy in high school had a 1973 like Pontiac Catalina, like a green one that was like huge. It was like a boat. And the dash was so big that he had a tiny cow statue on the dashboard that had like, it was a realistic looking cow with like grass and stuff that matched the color in the car. And I don't remember where its name came from, but its name became Cynthia. So the cow, that's a reference to my buddy's car. But yeah, the cow stuff I just thought was really fun. I was like, it's not going to be a like no cow mutilation or anything. Like,
nope, the cow's just chilling.
Yeah, the cow's a champ. The cow's having a good time. They just need to help. There's a situation the cow gets itself into in the first issue that they have to solve that leads to some of the discoveries. But yeah, that was definitely on the list in terms of just like really fun visuals and playing with unexpected things that would happen, like things you wouldn't normally see in a story like this, which is what I tried to do and tried to give Mike in every issue, was like something unexpected to draw, a different kind of story structure to it. Because as you'll see, as the story goes on, like, I don't want to spoil too much. Like I said, there'll be some interesting reveals later and some scenes you've probably seen in this type of story before, but with a different take on it and a different, I
do know you love your Easter eggs too. So I'm a sucker for some good cinematic Easter eggs and other things like that, especially being, the sci-fi nerd that I am. And Lauren, you have one little piece of artwork in here that I think you enjoyed, was the PBR-ish looking can with the hops
I did.
on it.
I saw it.
Was that Mike, or like, did you just throw that in the background? How did something like, because we like to shout out local craft breweries and things like that. So
the hops,
how did that kind of stuff make it into
and
the
there
background?
Was hops on the can.
Yeah.
I think that was me. I think it was in the script. It was definitely cracking a beer, and I did. It was obviously an homage to Pabst Blue Ribbon PBR, but I think I shifted the text just a little bit, so it's like Babst.
Right. It's like if you buy the outfit at Spirit right now, it looks like PBR, but it's not PBR.
Yes,
right, exactly. Spirit Halloween PBR, legally distinct from. If you like Easter eggs, I have a ton packed into this in the backgrounds of the art. Some are like references to things, but mostly there's like little things I like to hide in the background.
I love good Easter eggs. Yes.
I don't think this is not a spoiler. There's just like a recurring comic book within the comic book that you'll see posters of, and the character reads at times. That I don't even know how that kind of came into the story.
That came about because we talked about there was going to be a moment. There's an emotional moment later on in the story that I wanted to tie to something to Mark and his brother Joey when they were kids. And so you had mentioned that there was a fake comic. I think you were either you and your students had named it, or it was something that you had just named before. And we're like, oh, well, let's use that as the name of like an anthology comic with a space character in it.
I think I found
kind of like an Adam Strange Martian Manhunter type character.
Yep. Okay, I found him. I'm looking at the page right now. I think
yes, the Samaritan of Saturn.
The Samaritan of Saturn.
Puzzle Home, Samaritan of Saturn. Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking at right now.
So that appears a lot in the background and stuff, which is fun. Like throughout the series. I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, I probably should have left some room to show NASA getting replaced by a Spirit Halloween.
That would have been funny.
Just like they're moving in, man.
Well, I liked your excuse for why NASA wasn't there. It's dark, but it's truthful. I don't know if
I just got a LinkedIn notification today that NASA had laid off more people. So unfortunately, it is. Which
I hope it's not prophetic.
I actually I work with. Not with NASA, but NASA is located where I'm also at. And it's, the origins of NASA kind of in Virginia. And I can definitely tell you it's been a lot more quiet over there and things, which is kind of depressing because, again, space nerd, like just seeing NASA gets me excited. And then, in the second issue, that kind of brings me into that because there's a certain general that I think really emulates a lot of what I see in real life where they only want destructive things. And Bobby here creates something that's opposite to help people, and he's like, I wanted weapons of destruction. So for you guys, what was that like? And then also I need to ask, Bobby West, is that a nod to a Wally West or anything like that, or is it just because me, I'm a Flash fan, that's my favorite. So it was the West name, as he's a scientific kind of guy, that made me think.
Not actually a reference to the Flash. West is a last name I use a lot as do you remember when you were growing up they would have the what's your soap opera name sort of thing name or whatever. So my soap opera name, I grew up in this little area where we had a short street called West that we were on, so mine was Blake West. Was my Dr. Blake West was my soap opera name. So I will often give shady
pen
characters.
Name too.
I know, right? I'd give shady characters last name West. Not that Bobby isn't trying his best, but Bobby is the engineer character that Mark worked with at NASA who gets fired when he gets fired because Mark, you'll see in the issue when you folks pick it up when you pre-order it before.
It's kind of tragic in a way too. So there's things that happen with Bobby, but also at the same time, was he written in mind of things are kind of not as black and white with him?
Yes, Bobby. Oh yeah, Bobby's.
You muted yourself.
Sorry, no, that's me. I had my son grab my laptop charger real quick, so I usually if I'm covering my face, I'm yelling at my children.
Oh, gotcha.
See, I got behind the scenes facts too.
Okay, well. I'm glad you're sharing your Easter eggs with us. So definitely know that. But no, Bobby was always designed to be the guy who's stuck in the middle between the hopeful stuff and then the way things are. Of he's hoping he can change things with the way the system is, whereas Mark and Stacy are burn it down, start over, let's do something.
I love that so much.
They need him, which you'll find out in the story later that they've got the piloting and the magic stuff down, but they still have to build a ship. So they still need a third guy, which they bring him in for. But he and the general, who you'll see a whole different sort of thing unravel with that, are on the
3 scenes, and I hate his guts.
Yeah, he's got some good. I gave him some good scenery chewing dialogue. It's some later stuff that I'm really proud of. You'll see stuff unfold with them, but Bobby is kind of the third pillar that they end up bringing in because they're able to figure out the first couple of parts, but still need to build a ship in order to get up into the stars. I like that dynamic because Bobby wasn't initially down either, without spoiling too much. And so
you create this triumvirate almost. So Stacy is the magic portion, and then you have Mark, who is the believer. We got to find Joey. We got to find Joey. I cannot wait to see how all this unfolds, especially with the cliffhanger that we kind of get at the end of issue 2. So, what can you tease without spoiling? As far as like, first of all, how many issues? Do you guys have a set amount of issues?
Oh yeah, yeah. The series is 5 issues. I'm gonna pick my words carefully here. It has the possibility to keep going.
It ends, but it's one of those endings to where
yes,
like if
it has
doesn't,
an ending, but it has the possibility
to
keep going. There's a hopeful ending that has the possibility to keep going. But it is 5 issues. And the sort of things that you can expect to coming up is, like I said, Mike's crazy sort of cosmic stuff that we're going to get into. We're going to play with the actual form of comics a bit. Like stuff is going to get real weird with the layouts and how stuff works on the page, including just like from Mike's awesome crazy imagination, as well as like incorporating magic. So it's going to get really like Grant Morrison up in this bitch, so to speak. Like it's going to get really weird. So I'm really excited about that. And we're going to explore more of Mark's survivor's guilt, as well as how that affects him and Stacy and Bobby together, like as a trio.
I'm glad you brought up survivor's guilt, because Mike and Ken, you guys really, there is, while we've talked about how fun and exciting this is, at the same time, the story, aside from, Joey being abducted, they have a very sad past that also kind of hit home for me. So for you two kind of bringing, Joey and Mark's past to life, what was building that like for you guys? What made it so? Did you choose deliberately, or was that something that happened organically with their father?
I chose, I'll let Mike speak in a second, but because I've been damn blabbermouth for like 5 or 10 minutes, but that was deliberate because unfortunately I have a lot of experience with that.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's something that I know is sadly like universal and really speaks a lot. And having had a sibling in that situation, like you often feel like you have to try to protect them. And sometimes you can't, or vice versa. So I wanted to have that as like as an emotional springboard for how Mark felt like Joey was his responsibility when they were younger, and how crazy that is when that completely gets ripped away from you, when you're not able to protect them anymore, even if you could barely do it in the first place, when something completely out of control happens. So I always knew that was going to be the emotional core of it, that traumatic experience was going to inform Mark's decision and decision making going forward. So it comes from a really good place, but I will say, like, it does build a flaw within Mark that we'll see explored throughout the series as well.
Okay, I like that. And Mike, what for you kind of crafting these scenes, how did that go in? What was the communication like with you and Kenny between crafting the scenes of the past, so to speak?
Well, I guess for a lot of the emotional stuff around the core heart of the story, which is the story about these separated brothers, that's where I go back to that first conversation I had with Kenny, where we talked about a lot of this. And that, I think, really gave me a lot of the fuel to bring to the table to kind of honor what Kenny's story was and what he was trying to capture with this larger, narrative, and kind of the metaphor of, alien abduction for estrangement from your family. I have 2 younger brothers that I care about a ton. We're quite close, thankfully, and we have, I think, a pretty healthy relationship. But that feeling of being an older brother and feeling that sense of responsibility and protectiveness, even if they don't need me to protect them very often, right. That those relationships are so important to me. So I think that spirit is something I really wanted to channel. I think Kenny and I are both, nostalgic people as well. And I think a lot of the scenes where we are flashing back, in my imagination, think of them not necessarily as literal scenes, but almost as memories where they're a little bit more warped by perspective, so that they have more of the sensation of, even if they're depicting literal events from the past, they have that sensation of, either good, happy memories where they're hanging out at the treehouse, or darker.
I love the treehouse, the way you drew that, by the way. Like it's the panel where it's almost sunset too, and that was magnificent. It was so gorgeous.
That page in particular, I am quite fond of because it really just like happened. I draw almost anything that you've seen, I've drawn like 2 or 3 times before we're at the final inks. Whether that's like the pencils to the inking stage or just sketches that I do in my sketchbooks. But that page, I remember I did a very small sketch, but it just like happened. And it's a rare moment when it's just that easy and magical, especially for something
I
don't draw a ton, which is like trees or tree houses. So that page, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is kind of also what I really mean with like kind of that spirit of this memory of like just me and my brother hanging out at the treehouse, at sunset. And I think that's what I was trying to channel a lot with their memories.
I would say you captured it. Yeah, that's the one that stood out to me. If I were to show anybody a page from this comic personally, I'd be like, here you go. This kind of captures the spirit. It's that bubbly, hopeful feeling. You got the sunset, the way the tree is big and a focal point, but it's also not the focal point at the same time, because there's just so much happening and so much telling through art. And it really did
background
capture
details too on every page.
And I'm the oldest in mine, so I, with you guys 100%, can get where you're coming from. Whereas I know Lauren's not the oldest, so
I'm the oldest.
I thought Brandon was older than you. My bad.
Brandon's my baby brother. He's just taller than me.
Right. There you go.
He doesn't like when I call him baby brother, but he is.
You're right. So all those things though capture.
Sometimes he gets, or I get ID'd and he doesn't, and then I think that's fine.
Oh dang.
Ooh. It is tough to have a
younger. If Matt had been a bartender, he probably would have ID'd me and not my brother. Maybe not these.
Of course, because I'm not going to lose my job. Okay. Have you seen this economy? Gotta live, all right?
I know what it's like to be an older sibling. It ain't all rainbows and daisies.
I turn 35 tomorrow. I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of old and wise now. So
but I think the worst, though, is when you're the girl and all of a sudden your baby brother's bigger than you and you can't physically fight him anymore.
You always can.
All right, I cut you off. I still do. I broke his finger.
You're right.
No,
go ahead, Lauren. I'll let you take over with some of your thoughts and your questions as well. I've also been
said
kind of rambling
uncle.
away.
No, I think we kind of covered everything, because I mean, we only got to read the first 2 issues. Both of us absolutely loved it, because whenever we read guest comics, obviously we get together right before and like we're usually on the same page. And I think this was one of them, and we weren't surprised because we both absolutely love the schlub. So, we talking to Kenny before, we weren't surprised that we absolutely love this. I thought the art too, I loved how much more intricate it got once you involved the magic. Like there were so many details. Even in the clothing, like you saw Stacy's clothes like got more like detailed, and I loved seeing it coordinate with like the background and then the ruins and everything. And so it was so much fun, because no matter what you're into, whether it's space like Matt was talking about, or like I'm a big Supernatural fan, so you got like magic combined with space. Supernatural, you can go to the whole brother thing too, the big brother complex of wanting to take care of the little brother with an abusive father. Like, I mean, you guys hit it spot on. Even naming the station Icarus, I thought was clever in the beginning. Yeah. Just so many clever things. It takes place in the year 2055. So, this could be a positive future or negative future. We don't know where this world is going, but I feel like
more the really positivity though. You're right. Like Kenny said, like,
and you get
we've seen enough of the dystopian, just depressing futures that we've moved away from. I remember movies, oh my God, I am blanking, but it's Bruce Willis, obviously. And this is like one of the biggest. No, it's.
Oh, does he have the hair? The hair?
Oh my God, I can't believe I blanked.
Fifth Element?
Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, I had it hurt because those movies, where things were so hopeful, and then you moved into the 2000s where it was like everything is black and gray, and you are just starving for food. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. I really appreciate that. So this was a return to that hopeful vibe that I hope starts to catch on, and I do think that this is going to resonate with a lot of people.
Now, yeah.
And this is kind of a comic book that I think we need at this current time with the outlook, everything that's distracting us and out there. So you guys really hit home on that hopeful spirit that you get and that childlike wonder that just captures us all. That will never leave me personally. I'll tell you right now, I'm a kid at heart forever.
And you still got mystery and space and it's funny. So anybody who's just listening, Mike just pointed around in his room. And one of the things I love about interviewing comic people is seeing the backgrounds of the rooms they're recording in.
I love all the backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like I just spent, Saturday, I took all day and built a Lego set that was 2,000 pieces. And I got told the other day by my boss, who's 36 years old. He's a year older than me. He was like, you're really a kid in an adult's body. And I was like, I would have thought we were years apart, just the way we carry ourselves. But I'm like, yeah, you still got to have fun. And that's why I love getting to talk to people like Kenny and Mike, because we are all capturing that. And, it's pushing it on to the next generation who's getting into comics. My 9-year-old, for example, will bring his friends over and they will pick through my comic books. And that's what I want. And this is definitely a book that I would be like, there's times my son and I will talk comics. He loves talking comics. He'll be like, hey, when can we review this comic? So this will probably be one, again, that we sit down and read together and get to review, because this is what he loves, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I got to get my son away from Dogman. It's the only one he's wanting to read.
Well, they FaceTime together all the time, so maybe our kids will eventually start reading comics.
I named him Logan. Like, come on, kid.
But as we do kind of wrap up, I know that the final order cutoff is November 17th. The first issue does release December 17th. But for you guys, Mike, we'll start with you. Are there any upcoming conventions, other projects that you are working on for that we can kind of look forward to coming in 2026, I guess, since by the time this comes out, it's almost the end of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
God.
My 2026, I think, is pretty space age focused as well. I mean, I'll be wrapping up the art on it soon, and then it gets released. So I don't have anything in the chamber just yet, other than a couple shows that I hope to get to. I almost certainly will be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. June.
Yes, my that's only a few hours from me, actually, and my brother-in-law owns a comic book shop, so they always go. So I try to make it to that one as well.
Yeah, that's a great.
He owns a comic book shop. I'm going to tell him to get this on order. What am I doing?
Yeah, please. That's the only show I have booked at the moment. There's a couple more I'd like to get to, but I'm not that far ahead yet.
Hey, we are looking towards MegaCon personally. Is the one
I know they have their first announcements tomorrow.
Gosh, aside from that, there's like 60 conventions in March. But Kenny, how about you? What do you have? I know you got some comic books coming down the pipe, especially with Tyrell, and in particular, one that I cannot also wait for. But what do you have coming down?
Yeah, well, since you teed me up for that one, I will say Tyrell and I just had announced through Entertainment Weekly our new book through the IDW Dark line, which is called Operation Iron Coffin, which is a World War II story about the British dropping Dracula like a bomb on the Nazis. And his surprisingly emotional journey of why he's doing it and why he's going all Wolfenstein on them. So everybody knows that the British didn't drop Dracula on the Nazis in World War II. But what this book presupposes is maybe they did. So that one's going to be really fun.
Form your own opinion after you read it.
Telling me Berlin just got messed up like that? I don't know.
Yeah. So if I had to like sell the vibe of it, it's very like Castlevania and Metal Gear, like kind of mixed in terms of like how he progresses through the train, the obstacles he'll hit. So we'll see more of that soon.
IDW Art has like a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah,
I cannot wait to see how you guys are hopping on that train.
Yeah,
excellent.
Writing it's really fun because I'm just kind of letting him. He likes to work kind of Marvel style, so I'm just letting like the fight scenes and stuff or the action. I'm just letting him go, and then I'm handling the paneling for the other stuff. So I'm very excited about that. That got announced. I wrote the annual for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this year. So that'll be out, I think, in a couple weeks. I think
the Turtles are having a huge comeback this year, too.
I know. So yeah, I know that the issue right afterwards, 13 got big orders. And then ours did really well too. So I did that with Michael Shelfer. And that's a really fun, like 40-page story where we got to do all 4 of the Turtles and did a really unique kind of like big fun kind of story swap that they do with each other. So we get to see them in a bunch of different situations, as well as get a really interesting untold story about Leonardo, which I'm really excited
He's the best turtle. I know a lot of people want to fight me over that, but he's the best turtle.
He's really fun to write.
Divisive take.
So I'm really excited about that, and then I have some other stuff that has not been announced yet that I'm sure will be that I'm hard at work at, and I will share as soon as I can.
Do you have any conventions that you've booked yet that people can look forward to seeing?
The only one I have left for this year is there's a little show in Grand Rapids where I'm based called Grand Rapids Comic-Con in November, so I'll be there. I'll probably have copies of the TMNT annual. That's sometime in November. All of that, the Schlub, DC Mech, Superboy, all that stuff. Next year, probably hit the usual big ones I usually hit, which are like Seattle for Emerald City, C2E2 for Seattle, Chicago, probably San Diego. Hoping to do New York next year because I missed it.
We are
year.
too, yes.
So that's our plan.
Or we, yes.
Yep. I hear that one's become a lot more like. It seems like they did a ton of announcements, comics wise, at that one this year.
Oh yeah, we were trying to hit it this year. We didn't make it, and then we were looking at C2E2 for next year. It just
same weekend as MegaCon.
They put it at the same time as MegaCon, which Lauren lived 30 minutes from, so it's hard.
It might be the week before or after.
It's the week before, and I couldn't justify leaving my kids with the wife 2 weekends.
Is MegaCon the Orlando one?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, that one was one that was on the possibility too, so I might have to pick between those.
If you have to pick, just know that 2 of the greatest human beings you have ever gotten to talk with are going to be at that one.
That's definitely a big selling point.
I'm just
saying.
And
since it's my local con, like we try to do, some other stuff like Half Barrel Beer Project. If you like beer, it's a great little spot that's like
right
0.3 miles from the convention center.
That we've done a couple Studios thing as well.
Yeah, but we've done a couple meetups at Half Barrel the last couple of years with some comic book creators.
Stephanie Phillips and Brian Azzarello, we got with them last year, and then the year before was with Jackson.
Because she's into beer, so it was nice to get.
We're trying to get like this year a kind of a big meetup for like comic creators.
But they haven't announced.
That's our goal, but they haven't announced anybody yet. So
yep.
Not that we're just gonna peer pressure, but.
I don't know why it's on spring break, but that I think is
Mike. I think you need to get to that one as well, and
but it is a great con.
I did remember I'm going to be at a con in a couple weeks here I live in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay. So you're right near.
You're not far from me.
There you go.
So Savannah Pooler Indie Comics Expo, or SPICE for short. It's a newer show. It's kind of on the smaller side. I think it's just Friday night. This coming. Pumpkin Spice, we're calling it. And in the spring, I think we could have another kind of larger 2-day show with the same organizer. Okay. So that's local here in Georgia, but I might try to get to C2E2 because I really want to go to Chicago.
I know.
I love Chicago, yeah.
But I'll keep MegaCon in mind too, because that might be a little closer to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not a far drive at all.
Not a far drive, and you've got
in Savannah on our way up places.
Couple people like local. I'm not local, but Lauren's local, and show you the sights, if you will. But
the sights. Here's Disney World. Here's the beach.
Right. Well, no, we do a lot more than just there's Disney and the beach. I mean, there's a lot of
fantastic breweries,
a lot of
good
like
food,
cool stuff. So, aside from that, though, what is as we finally? I know I said before it's like a Midwestern goodbye, but what is your 1 sentence, 2 sentence pitch for this comic book? If you had to give one to get people into the shop to pick this up.
Sure. Mine would be an astronaut, a magician, and an engineer tackle space and win is mine.
Yes.
That sounded like the beginning of a joke. I thought they were going off into a bar.
I was walking to a bar.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really good. Really catchy. We've got I'll do it like Stefan from SNL. We've got everything. This comic has UFOs. It has cows. It has magic sigils, hope, and a lot of heart.
And Lost Brothers.
Family. Listen, I'm a big Fast and Furious fan, so if you love family, there you go.
Yeah.
Mike, where can people find you at on social media?
I think Instagram is probably the most active and most forward-facing I am. So that's Mike Becker 14 at Instagram. And I think same on Blue Sky. If not Mike Becker 14, then it's Mike J. Becker. So
you will find it. And everything's going to be in the show notes too. And then Kenny, how about you on all of this good social medias?
I think on most of them, I'm at Ken Blake Porter because Kenny Porter was taken. So that's most of them. Also, they're all linked on portercomics.com where all that stuff is. And I have a link out there too for portercomics.com in the new space age that makes it super easy to pre-order, like has the comic shop locator on there so you can find your local shop.
Yes.
You can pre-order directly from Mad Cave. Mad Cave also does a cool thing where you can pre-order the trade as soon as it's announced. So if you're just a trade person, you can do that. But I do encourage everybody to call their local comic shop, pre-order, subscribe to the series, and then the trade as well. Just do it all at once. Just say, give me all the issues and give me the book when it's done. That's the best way to help and support the book.
Yes.
Right there. I mean, that's the best way to do it, is get into your, and they've made it so easy now too with the, the comic shop locators. Anytime I'm going to a new city,
made it way too easy to buy comics.
Well, they have. Anytime I'm going to a new place, the first thing I do is comic shops in X location, or I do go to the comic book shop locator and I look up where we're going because I love to hit up.
It's fun to hit up local ones.
What they have.
Yeah. It's like
everybody's
local
got something
breweries. They're all
different.
a little different. Yeah, they all have different toys, different stories.
Here in Virginia, I've got my local small one, but then I go up by DC and there's a bunch of fun ones there. So you never know what you're going to find. You're going to meet a lot of good people, read a lot of good books. There's comic books for everybody out there. So please support this book. And I really wanted to say,
if you have to buy it.
Dog Man.
Sorry.
Lauren feels strongly about Dog Man. Just like she is by K-pop.
My son loves it. Yeah,
Dog Man and K-pop Demon Hunters. If you want to know what to get Lauren for Christmas, everybody, there you go. And guys, thank you so much for hitting us up and getting to share this comic book. I cannot wait to get my hands on the physical copy.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It was great meeting you.
Lauren, any final thoughts?
No, just go hit up those local comic shops. Do it. You won't regret it.
Do it. Otherwise, Lauren will beat you with a bat like it was Jennifer Aniston in the film Leprechaun that we definitely just watched. So we will see you next time. Peace.